This is going to be fun.
Yeah, man, we got 3 instead of 2 tonight.
Yes. First guest since Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be great. And these fans, this is the behaving badly worst one, I think.
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
It's all built to this.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm your co-host, Dominic DiTolla, sitting alongside my co-host, Chris Quinn, and our very special guest, Clint Lapsansky. That's right. Clint, you want to say some stuff to the audience here?
How's it going, audience? I'm Clint, stand-up comedian from the Tucson area.
Yeah. Clint, you are on the Man's Gendered podcast, so if anybody's listening out there, go check them out. Any information on that?
Yeah, Man's Gendered. It's available on YouTube, and we also have a Patreon.
Nice.
With a whole bunch of episodes there that weren't good, were too bad for YouTube, so we had to put them on Patreon because YouTube was cracking down on our stuff.
I'll say this: it's a good podcast. It's
really
one
good.
that you feel like you're kind of just hanging out with them, and the conversation just kind of flows. And Lex drinks so many beers; it makes me so happy every time.
Yeah, it's actually very hard to keep up with Lex.
I
the
know
beers,
he's a
but
champion,
you
and I
try-
say that in front of Dom.
Yeah.
You try and then you throw up the next morning. That's what happens. You
Wonder
try to
what-
keep up with Lex.
I wonder where everything went. Wonder
Yeah.
what happened. You're just, oh, God, fuck my life. But the reason we have Clint on today, not only because he's a great comedian and is also a fellow Tucson podcaster, is he is part, as an NBA fan, of our last installment of our Fans Behaving Badly series.
Yeah, we're at Malice of the Palace, man.
That's right.
One of the most iconic events to happen in professional sports, especially American professional sports. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you'll ever see anything like this again.
It's like the towers coming down. It's where were you when
I mean, yeah.
Ron Artest went in the stands.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it really is. It's the NBA's 9/11.
Thank you for emphasizing that, because that's perfect.
They're going to have a hologram of the old palace where it used to be.
Ron Artest just getting hit by that beer. It's
There's
just
a
gonna
fucking statue of Ron Artest in Indiana climbing.
Oh,
But,
man, that's good.
Before we go into this first episode, because it is a two-parter, so please stick around for part 2. We're going to talk a little bit about both teams, the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons, kind of leading up to this momentous game in November of 2004. So either one of you guys want to take it away?
Well, I mean, I guess it started in 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Because that's when they picked up Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest. They picked up Jermaine O'Neal first, and then like midway through the season, they got Ron Artest. And then they were like a pretty good team. They were like pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they got into the playoffs that year, but didn't make it that much further. But then the next year.
Yeah, the next 02, 03.
Yeah, is when it really started.
Yeah, they had a really good year, the Pacers and the Pistons too, because the Pistons went to the conference finals that year against the Nets. So leading into 03, 04, the Pacers and Pistons are probably the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. And they both play in the same old Central Division.
Yeah.
And they both play very similar styles. So they were like straight up lockdown defense. On the Pistons, you had like Ben Wallace and
Well, I mean, yeah, back then with the Pistons, they were getting to that like bad boys Pistons image again.
Yes.
Those early
and you have
thousands
like
years
scrappy
Pistons.
scorers like Chauncey Billups,
Yep.
and Rip
Ben Wallace.
Hamilton. Yeah, Ben Wallace getting
Chauncey
Ben
Billups.
I know.
There you go.
I know.
Colorado's finest. But yeah, 03, the 03-04 Pacers were fucking stacked, man. They went 61-21, which was the best record in the NBA. And they had a really loaded roster with Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, fucking Reggie Miller is still there, who's like the nicest person ever.
Yeah, but he's at the helm. He's at the helm of Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest, who are both basket cases. And are
Totally.
insane.
Especially Ron Artest.
well, Ron Artest has been professionally diagnosed as somebody with that. Let's just put it out there.
It's
real.
real.
He is so much, and I want to say this: the really greatest defenders ever have been absolutely insane.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman was a very well-adjusted person.
Yeah, you have to be. It's
have
almost
to.
like you have to have this like vendetta against yourself, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know what it is about Ron Artest, but he is without a doubt the best defender, and that's the thing about these two teams where these defensive battles have to be, without a doubt, the grittiest basketball games.
And they all have chips on their shoulders. Like,
Yeah,
Ben
every
Wallace
single
is
one
a
of them.
shorter center. Like, he's shorter than
Yep.
Tayshaun Prince, playing the fucking 5 and dominating.
Like all their star players besides Reggie Miller were underrated players that all
without
had
a
a chip
doubt.
on their shoulder.
Steven Jackson,
And they were
too.
all from the streets,
Yeah.
like Steven Jackson. But in 04, we forgot to say,
yeah, we're going back.
they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 04. Like they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals with
Pacers,
Detroit.
yeah.
The Pacers. And it was a very very intense series.
Well, yeah,
I
they
mean,
just-
hard fouls.
Hard scrabble, yeah.
That series reminds you of like old finals with the Lakers and Celtics, where
yeah.
it's just like, I'm just going to tackle you so you don't get this layup. And
Yep.
it will also make my team win the next game because
Refs
of how
are swallowing
badass
their
it was.
whistles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had to hurt specifically for Indiana. I know this because not only did they have the best record in the Eastern Conference and the entire NBA that year, Detroit finished second behind them in the Central Division, and Detroit wins. And for somebody like Ron Artest, who is like almost Mike Tyson in the way, he's the only NBA player I've ever seen who would go, "I'm gonna eat your children," but like that has to just stick in your fucking craw, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
especially for Reggie Miller, too. It was
Yeah.
the closest he said he felt that he was going to get a championship was that year.
And they
Well,
had been in
every-
the finals like 3 years before too,
Yeah.
against the Lakers. Yeah.
Everybody was pretty sure that the Pacers were the best team that year, and it was surprising that they actually lost in the conference finals. But that's the thing, is like where we lead into them getting Steven Jackson. So they literally had the best record in the regular season. They're coming out as the best defensive team,
Yeah.
and then this next year they're like, we're gonna double down on defense.
And I think they lost in a game 7, I believe, because Ron Artest
It was
lost
a-
his cool.
Game 6.
and
It was game
fouled-
6.
Yeah, and fouled Ben Wallace, and then 2 free throw, boom, and game over.
And then Detroit moves on to play the Lakers with Gary Payton and Karl Malone ring chasing. Nobody gave Detroit a chance, and they won in 5 games.
Yep.
They were the
Yeah.
NBA champions, which had to just like destroy fucking Indiana after
Well-
a year where. And I mean, these are 2 awesome defensive teams. Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest were all NBA second team, and Ben Wallace were second team, and then Ron Artest was third team. So,
Well, Reggie Miller said he was just like, we were pretty sure whoever was going to the finals was going to win because of the way the Pistons handled them. They were just like, yeah, that was exactly how our team was set up. We were like, we could have taken the Lakers out. So that was something for Reggie Miller, which I always felt bad for because, God, he's the nicest man.
Clint, you were
It's so
talking
nice.
pre-podcast about Reggie Miller and a little
Oh
analogy.
yeah, Reggie Miller. Like, I mean, this team that they put together in Indiana is basically like the 06-07 Florida Gators, where it's just the nicest. Tim Tebow, the nicest person ever, is just in charge of 4 people that are in prison. One is dead now, Aaron Hernandez. Like,
Multiple murderers. And I'm not saying the Pacers were murderers.
like
I'm
No,
just
they're not
saying-
murderers.
actual gang members.
Yes.
Tim Tebow is just throwing dimes to in Florida.
Y'all need Jesus.
Yeah, well, he's just praying to God, John 3:16 on his face. There's a guy that's like, I just killed someone on Saturday.
And
Like,
I should add, they added that year the Pistons, Rasheed Wallace, to the mix of the old Jailblazers fame,
Yeah.
which just makes it spicier.
I was going to say that inside game was so wild with the 2 Wallaces because they were both like just straight up as hard-nosed inside as you were going to get. And then you see with Jermaine O'Neal, like that's why the NBA of that time was so special for me, because those were the playoffs in which like I watched all of those games.
Well,
Yeah.
it was all man up ISO type shit because these are like the remaining years of the way the game was played back in those days and the way that it was, constructed to where you could actually play defense. You didn't have to go zone and it wasn't moving out of the paint like it is today.
and even not even like the game and how it's changed, like just the presentation too back then
Yeah.
was better. Like, have you noticed, like even in like the Super Bowl and like even in like NBA all that, like the logo has been the same
Right?
for 20 years now. Like, it hasn't changed. It's been the same font, same everything for all of them. Like, it used to be like its own special logo to the city that it's going to be at, or like,
Exactly.
like it used to just look better too. Like even uniforms looked better back then.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Now it's just a mishmash of shit.
Yeah, like some of them do like the throwback pretty well. Like Memphis, the Grizzlies have a very good throwback that they wear very often, but
those are legit.
It needs to be their regular home.
Those old Vancouver logos, yeah.
Oh my god,
dude, those are
the
sweet.
Raptors logos.
Pure 90s. Oh,
The Raptors need to go back to that.
The Pistons teal.
Yes,
Oh
that
my
was
God,
the
the
ones.
old Grant
Those
Hill
were
ones.
without. With the Grant Hill ones. Those were without a doubt my favorite. And that's the thing is the aesthetic back then. For us, I can't tell if it was because we were like teenagers, but like it was so appealing and so much more than it is now. And I can't understand if like the games, because they're like 110 to 114, and this game with the Eastern Conference Finals ended 69 to like 66.
yeah, these games
you know what
are
I
the
mean?
70s,
Like,
dude. Yeah.
it was just straight up a grind, and I felt like the games were just more entertaining for me. But that's just kind of leading us into this Pacers team getting pretty wild with Steven Jackson, because that's the addition that I feel like, because a lot of these episodes that we were talking about, there has to be like all this stuff leading up, like this rivalry that pretty much just got lit. And then they bring in another guy
Somebody to
who's
just-
straight up
yeah.
like another hard-nosed defender. And
Kerosene the dumpster fire, bro.
Yep.
But I think we should start that like with why they got Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Totally. And
Because-
Steven
Go.
Jackson was like a playoffs and NBA Finals hero in San Antonio.
Yep.
Like in Game 6 against the Mavericks, him and Steve Kerr fucking won that series for them, and he played extremely well against the Nets in the following series.
Steve Kerr is another guy. Like he's definitely invited to the barbecue.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Totally.
Like Steve Kerr in the locker room says the N-word a lot. Like
Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr,
Yeah.
and he was just like, I felt so bad. I punched the nicest guy.
He's like Reggie Miller.
And it is funny too how Steve Kerr probably just took it on the chin
Yeah.
and just looked
Yeah.
at him like, really?
What's up, bitch?
Really?
Yeah.
Or, really? I'm just trying to practice. Now you're punching me in the face.
But no, like you bring Steven Jackson in and you're thinking, okay, the best regular season team in the Eastern Conference just got a little bit better. And why did they bring him in, Clint?
Oh yeah, they brought him in because Ron Artest was losing his mind. Like in like the first month of basketball, he was like, I want a month off.
And he was rapping. I
Yeah,
remember.
so he could rap. And then they were like, no, you don't get a month off. You have to play. And then he was like, all right, well, a family member died. And he lied about a family
totally
member
did.
dying.
He went to the Image
and
Awards, right?
Yeah, to like the BET Awards.
Yep.
And then presented an award with like DMX or something.
All right, so
Rest in
it
peace.
was the Source Awards, and he presented
Source
it with
Awards,
Petey
yeah.
Pablo. But let me say this. He was so unstable
Pretty
in
close.
that it was so close. I had to be specific because that's why I loved it. But he was
God.
so unstable in that offseason, he asked to retire.
Yeah.
That's what he was asking, and they were like, you have a 6-year contract. We just did a
We just
max
paid you so
extension.
much. Money.
And he's like, what, like 26 at the, how old is he
I
at
think
the
he was a
time?
little younger.
Like,
Yeah, I think he, but that's what I mean. Is so
the prime
he was
of his
that
career.
So
unstable.
shitty.
And that's what the Pacers locker room, they were like, we knew he had a psychologist. We knew he was seeing this woman all the time. We just
No, yeah,
not
yeah.
sure if it was
I
working.
wrote that down. Also had a psychiatrist with him at all times.
Yeah.
She traveled with him. Like,
Obviously not doing a very good job.
like she was on the road games on the bench next to him. Like,
Yep.
it's okay, Ron.
It's not your fault.
Yeah. So, but that's a good preface. We're gonna get back to her
Oh,
and
she's
her
great.
and her teachings, her breathing methods, because that gets
Yep.
Ronnie into a little bit of trouble.
Yes, it
Those
does.
breathing methods.
Oh, those breathing methods come back into play for sure.
Oh my God, this lady did not. She didn't think ahead.
She didn't do any favors for this.
You can't think ahead with Ron Artest.
I mean,
You
I
just
would have
have to
prefaced it
accept
with, "Hey, you can't do breathing methods in the middle of a game." I would have prefaced it with that. Like, I'm a Detroit fan, so or no, I mean, I'm an Indianapolis fan, so that's,
Yeah, so they bring in Steven Jackson because they have absolutely no idea if Ron Artest is going to play this next year, or if he does play, is he going to be at that level, because he's obviously not focused on basketball because he's got his record coming out.
But the good thing about bringing Jackson in, which I had researched, is he meshed really well with Artest and O'Neal because he had that kind of shitty background growing up. He was tough as nails, and all he wanted to do was win basketball games. So he fit that team and franchise
yeah.
like
Him,
a glove.
Jermaine, and Ron together were like a super triangle of bad news.
Yeah. No, seriously though.
Yeah,
Like
but it
the
made
bad
them
news
stronger
bears.
for so long. For like a good 75% of the season, they were killing it.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen after a certain event. And leading into the 04-05 season, you're thinking, all right, two big dogs come into play. There's going to be an early season matchup between these two teams.
Yeah.
Between two teams who were in the Eastern Conference Finals a year before with the Pistons and the Pacers. And it's going to be in Detroit. And the NBA's excited about this. The television networks are excited about it. I think ABC or ESPN or both were televising the game. So this is like an early season exciting matchup where you're going to give fans an incredible game, or so they thought.
It's
Yeah.
huge game. I think
It
it sold
was.
out in like a minute. It
Yeah.
was one of those insane. But I want to go back to Steven Jackson real quick because there's this
totally.
one quote that he has that is just amazing to me. Like they introduce him into that documentary, and
Yeah.
and it just goes Steven Jackson. He's like, "Man, I smoke weed all day. I was doing my own shit."
And then Ron Artest's thing when they first showed
Yeah,
up,
right.
he was just like, well, I was telling him I'm going to guard their best player. And then I realized this is going to come to blows. So I guess Steven's going to fucking guard the best player. And it was just like, that was the mentality of these three guys. And that's why going into this next season, they were looked at as the team that was to beat essentially. And that was what Steven Jackson said when he got traded. He goes, everybody knows it has to come through Indiana. If you want a championship, you have to come through Indiana. And I was just like,
Come and take it.
I love that. I love when guys are that confident with their team. And just to double down on how crazy Artest was, when he got traded from the Bulls, he just goes, yeah, I'm glad to not lose for 3 years anymore. He was just really talking shit on the
Completely
team.
shitting on the
yeah,
organization,
which I
yeah.
love.
Yeah, but leading up to this game too, there was a lot of things going into it that are weird. One, Tim Donaghy is reffing it.
That's right. I'm glad you brought that up, Tim
Yes.
Donaghy.
That's
Yeah.
one weird aspect. Who's a known gambler and
Game
got
fixer in
caught.
the Western
yeah.
Conference
Yeah.
Finals.
Ben Wallace is playing for his dead brother.
Yep.
Yeah, his brother died a couple
Yeah.
of days
So
earlier.
he's like, this is big for him.
There's all kinds of these things that come together to just make this perfect fucking cocktail.
Yeah, and then Reggie Miller's in a cast because his finger's broken.
Yeah.
So,
And he's in fucking a business suit.
So yeah,
on the
they're
bench.
missing their best player.
Yeah. Their nicest player. Which
Yeah.
I don't know how it'll come into play later, but
But the guy that's going to be on the court and be like, no.
Yeah.
Just
just pull the Robin Williams and fucking Goodwill Hunting. Ron, it's not your fault.
they'll be like, oh yeah, that's Reggie Miller. I should probably not.
Yeah,
You know,
right. Or just break it up, guys.
yeah, he's
Come on.
not there to do that.
You guys want to smoke
Come
a bowl
on,
in the
hey.
locker room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounding like Tony Gwynn.
Yeah. Ah, come on, guys.
Come on,
You
hey.
know,
Come on now.
Just
Hey.
Kermit the Frogging it. Come on. But no, this is amazing because there's all this drama. Indiana's playing on the road and being like, okay, you won the championship. Now we're going to fuck you up. And the stage is set. Everything is ready to go. And the fans are specifically rowdy for Detroit, like they always are when they have a winning basketball.
Especially, yeah, when they're bringing back the bad boy, image, and they're ready for it. They're like, yes, finally, we're bad again.
Yeah, right? Finally, we're going to kick some ass. Our team is
Yeah.
good after a decade and a half of garbage. But, I shouldn't say that. Grant Hill was good for a while.
yeah.
I feel that feeling coming up with U of A sports soon.
Oh my god.
In
yeah.
5 years, we're going to be unbearable. We're going to win. We're going to go to a Rose Bowl, probably lose, and still talk shit.
Dude, if they ever make a Rose Bowl, this city will burn down. Just making it. Win it, they're going to burn
Oh, yeah.
Casa Grande down.
There
with
will
it.
be a new stadium built by next year because we'll burn down the stadium, taking everything with us.
All the high rises, they'll be on fire.
You'll be driving down Swan, looking at the houses on the street, and there'll just be bleacher seats coming out of their backyard, and you're like, "What the fuck, bleacher?"
Yeah, they will tear that the fuck apart if that ever happens. That's for sure.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
All right, that's episode 1 of Malice in the Palace. Come back for episode 2 where we talk about the insane fight that happens. Thank you all
yes.
very much.